Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Curaçao Confidential podcast. My name is Aaron, and I'm here with
Chris, and we're here in Curaçao. Curaçao is in the ABC Islands, just off the coast of Venezuela. It's our third week in the ABC Islands. We've already done Bonaire, and we've done Aruba, and now here we are.
Yes.
So describe where we are, Aaron, please.
Well, I'm looking at the window right now, and I see a beach full of palapas, as they call them here. And
what's a palapas?
A palapa is essentially a large sort of sun umbrella. Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right. I thought you were referring to the visitors, and I was that's not a very nice thing to say about them. Curaçao is really interesting because we're staying at the Marriott here, and there's a shipping channel right out there. So you can see the cargo ships going past, and every now and then a cruise ship is going past. It's kind of cool. It reminds me a little bit of the Panama Canal, because we saw a lot of ships there too, except it's definitely not the Panama Canal. It's not Panama. It's Curaçao.
Yeah. Very different.
But also kind of interesting, actually very interesting now that I think about it. Curaçao is, they speak Papiamento here as well, which is that mixture of Spanish and Portuguese and Dutch.
Yes.
So the frustrating thing is you understand like every third word that they say here.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you understand anything they say?
Honestly, I haven't listened a lot here. But yeah, I mean, we were looking around the other day in the city, Willemstad. We took a tour on a tuk-tuk, and we got to see a part of town called Outra Banda.
That's the other side. It literally means the other side, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it was very interesting because Curaçao has a big art scene with murals and stuff like that.
Yes, the murals weren't there the last time I I've been in Curaçao. This is my third visit here, but the first time I was here, they didn't have any of these murals. This is a relatively new thing. And they're this is one of the sustainability efforts that they're having, is they're bringing in artists, and the artists are painting large murals on the side of buildings.
Yeah, exactly.
Some of them are really, we'll post one or two. Some of them are very interesting.
Yeah.
And by interesting, I mean they're captivating like you wouldn't expect it. They're riveting. They have human expressions like people with big eyes, that kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. What does Curaçao look like, though?
So Curaçao is a lot like the other ABC islands, except maybe that it's a little bit more hilly.
Yeah.
So Bonaire and Aruba are largely flat, but here, you have a lot of steep inclines and things like that. There's actually a mountain that people go and hike up.
Right, and it's a desert island.
Of course.
Cactus, kind of some palm trees. But it's not like, you wouldn't think of a tropical island, you wouldn't think of this.
It's bush and cactus.
Yes, bush, right, exactly.
And lizards.
Large iguanas that cross the road, and they take their time too. These iguanas are not in a hurry to get anywhere. If you don't watch out, you're going to run over one, I guess, or get eaten by one. They're not that big, but they're pretty big.
Yeah, and the iguanas are nice to look at. Not as captivating as maybe the Aruban iguanas, but I don't want to start a lizard war.
No, it's a lizard. Well, these are not iguanas. Those weren't iguanas. The ones that were
Those are lizards.
Green, they're lizards. Blue, but they're beautiful too. This week's question, because I'm working on a series about sustainability, this week's question is, what's the greenest hotel that you've ever stayed in? The one that you could tell that everything they were doing was about sustainability and being green and conserving energy and that kind of thing. And I don't just mean throwing towels on the floor, those signs that say, please throw the towel on the floor if you want it clean, or recycle it, or they had recycling bins. I'm talking about like next level sustainability.
Yeah.
So tell us about that. And we stayed in a lot of hotels that are very sustainable and have a lot of green initiatives going on. But when I think about like a completely next level eco hotel, I think about that eco lodge that we stayed in Ecuador.
Yeah, that was a very interesting lodge because they were doing a wide variety of different outreach and also sustainability programs. And so they would bring in food from local sources, and then also there were a lot of typical hotel programs, for example, removing single-use plastics and making things more efficient by scheduling, for example, meals and meal times.
Yeah, that was the Mashpee Lodge that we were staying at. We did a whole podcast on that. I'll link to it.
Yeah.
So, most memorable green hotel or greenest hotel that you've ever stayed in. Please leave it in the comments. We'd love to know, because I'm interested in seeing more sustainable lodging. I'm in the Caribbean now. Aaron, you are with me here too, my photographer, to document these green hotels, series on sustainability. And my next story, which is about Aruba, would have just been published alongside this. So it's going to be out this morning. I'll link to it in the podcast. It should be interesting to see the reaction, because people I don't think they were very happy that I wrote some of the things that I did about the sustainability issues that they're having right now in Aruba. But I think also that hopefully people will read this and say, okay, here's what we need to do to fix it.
Exactly. And this is the thing with sustainability, is that you wouldn't realize it, but there really is a fierce competition for the most sustainable hotels.
Totally.
And if you bring it up, people become very defensive, and these hotels really care about their image and being the most sustainable.
You have to be very careful when you're writing about sustainability, because of course everyone wants to be sustainable, and no one wants to be the hotel that gets caught having a trash fire in the back. But I think everyone's making progress. I don't think that anyone is not taking this seriously.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is a good thing. Okay.
Which brings us to, the highlight, I think, for this week in terms of sustainable hotels, which was a presentation we got to join at the Bukudi in Tara.
Yes, and everything there is sustainable. It is like probably the most sustainable hotel, or one of the most sustainable hotels in the Caribbean. I think they'd like to think of themselves as being the most sustainable, but they really have everything that you see has some kind of a sustainability angle.
Yeah, and so we got to see, for example, some of their power systems, their solar panels, how they're handling air conditioning. They take their air conditioning very seriously.
I was really impressed. They had the solar panels. They were talking about getting off the grid. They had a very active recycling program, food recycling, so they're not letting anything go to waste. And they had actually listened to our last podcast, which mentioned Bukudi and Tara. And you had said something about them reminding you of the Hilton. I should note that you were talking about
Japanese Hiltons.
The Japanese Hiltons, which are really amazing. We were actually very impressed by the property, and especially about their recycling. Now, jumping forward, though, to the next property, which was the Embassy Suites. That's a new construction, so they just opened about a year ago. And what I thought was really interesting was that they had baked sustainability right into the new construction. So you go up on the roof and you see these vents that they have where they're recycling air for cold air coming from the rooms. They're recycling, putting it into the hallways. So the hallways are very cold at the Embassy Suites. And a lot of other things too. They have hot water heaters on the roof, and they're, I think, also really trying to. They don't want to be part of the problem. So I thought that was interesting. They also have, hands down, one of the best pools in all of Aruba.
Yeah, the pool looked very modern, and it was right across from actually Marine Preserve. So they don't have beach access, but they have the next best thing.
No, they have beach access, but they're not on the beach. So what they did was they built a road, they built a tunnel under the road, and so you can get to the beach by going under the road. But the beach itself has these mangroves on it, and so it's going to be protected. I like that. That's actually a really responsible thing to do.
I totally agree with you. Now, the place we're in right now in Curaçao is a little bit different from the Embassy. It's not as big of a hotel. It's not a high rise, but it also has something that the Embassy doesn't have, which is direct beach access. I'm looking out the balcony right now, and I could walk on the beach from my hotel room.
Yep, I can see the water from here. This used to be a Sonesta, and then it was reflagged as a Marriott. It is right on the beach. And The nice thing about being on the beach here in Curaçao is that we don't really have huge waves or anything like that. You can walk in the water and you can go diving. And this morning I actually went shore diving with a company that hunts lionfish, which was absolutely fascinating. So lionfish are an invasive species here, and they were brought over from, I believe, Southeast Asia, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, they are these formidable predators. They have spines that will inject venom into you if you're not careful. And they hunt them here, and they eat them, and they make jewelry out of the fins and things like earrings and pendants and all that. Anyway, so we went. We did a shore dive right off of the Marriott. Went in the water, and I had the opportunity to go and hunt with someone who does this professionally. And these creatures are very fast. So you have to have this. You have the spear gun. You're allowed to use a spear gun to hunt them because they're an invasive species. And you go find them under the crevices and you shoot them, and then you bring them back. And one of the lionfish was fed to the cat, standing at the shore, and the other one's going to get turned into jewelry. So nothing goes to waste.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a fascinating thing to see. And the lionfish are really beautiful. And so to have the opportunity to go kill lionfish, which are an invasive species, there's plenty going around, and save the coral, must be a great honor.
I'm really blown away by the experience of hunting lionfish. The person who was guiding me, her name is Lisette, and she's been doing this professionally since 2010, I believe. So it's been a long time. She's very good at it. I watched her do her thing. It's like nothing I've ever done before. If you have a chance to go lionfish hunting, and by the way, the reason that they go lionfish hunting is because they need to get rid of some of these predators on the reef. And it's the government here in Curaçao allows people to do that. But if you ever have a chance to do it, you should do it. So Aaron, you got to learn how to dive. We're not done with Curaçao. We are moving on to another hotel in a couple of days, and we're also going to be seeing more of the island. So we'll have a little bit more in our next podcast on Curaçao. And, I think that overall the ABC Islands are in fairly good shape. I mean, they have a lot of work to do in terms of sustainability, and you can read that in my series. But I've seen places where they really don't care at all, and this is not one of them.
Yeah. I think that Curaçao is one of those islands where it's just in between Aruba and Bonaire. Literally and figuratively. When it comes to tourism and their strategy overall, you see a lot of the development that you would have gotten in Aruba, but they also do care about the environment, and they're not allowing unlimited rampant development, which is similar to the strategy of Bonaire, which is a very calm island.
Our question of the week again is, tell us about the greenest hotel that you've ever been to. And again, I'm not looking for hotels that have those signs that say, please recycle your towels, because every hotel's got those. I'm talking about hotels that go crazy with their green initiatives. They have things like composting and solar panels and maybe a sustainability tour. Tell us about it. We would love to know. And the reason we would love to know is because we are actually going to be doing more research in the Caribbean and in other parts of the world too. So we'd like to know because we would like to possibly visit those places. Well, that's about it for this episode of Elliott Confidential. We will see you next week from Grenada. Ciao, ciao.
See y'all later.